Hey, welcome to the second installment of Shelf It or Pass It On. It's a series where I take a look at a few games I played recently, and I go through it and decide, is it a game I want to shelf, meaning I put it in my collection, or I pass it on, as you might imagine. Now, I typically don't sell games, I typically give them away, between my in-laws, people I work with, and just friends, randomly in my life. I usually find a home for the game. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean I can't find someone who does. So let's hop in. First up is Collect. I'm on a hunt. I'm always looking for a small box card game. So if I can find one of this size, I typically will give it a shot. So let's see how Collect works and whether it's a game worth keeping. So the high level overview of Collect is you are gathering these animal cards. And the main way you can win is if you can get 4 animals in a row. So each time you take a card, you either have to put it to the left or to the right, right? And then depending on if you can get, like in this case, I have 2 chameleons. So if I could get 1 more octopus, I would win the game in like the standard way. But there's 2 other ways that you can win depending on the cards you draw and the powers they give you. So the other way you can win is with the octopus. It gives you an ongoing ability that if you can get 3 pairs of cards, that's another way you can win the round. So in this example, if I had the chameleon and the octopus, the chameleon can be anything. So in this case, it's 2 octopus, and then 2 of these little birds, and then 2 of the crabs. That's 3 pairs, I would win the game as well. The last way you can win is with the lion. So the lion, if you have that in your tableau of cards here, if you have 7 different animals, I mean, of the possible 8, you could also win. So if I can get, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus the lion itself, that's another way you can win. So it's cool. It's cool to have these multiple win conditions because you just don't know which way to go, and it gives you a lot of different avenues. You don't feel like you're ever pinned to just one strategy. How a typical turn feels is you turn a card over, and if you want it, you keep it. If you don't want it, you can put it back on either deck, and then you can draw the other card, and that's what you keep. In this case, this card, it lets me go again if I had a crab already there. So that's one thing about the cards. They all have powers that it can kind of work together. They can synergize to give you maybe a way to get more cards or more turns. So for instance, if I have the chameleon, okay, that's cool. This also gives you a free turn if I had the chameleon. So if I had the chameleon there already and I drew this, I could go again. So that's a nice way to get another free turn. The octopus we already covered. The crab lets you move cards. So if I put a crab down, I could shift cards somewhere else, or I can shift cards on someone else's board. Yeah, there's a little bit of take that in this. We'll cover the other cards in a minute there. It can get a little bit more mean, but I find the game is so fast, the take that isn't that bad. The lion we already covered, that gives you the win condition of having 7 or more. There's the monkey, which lets you swap cards, so I can swap the monkey with someone else's card and put it into my little tableau. There's the gator, which is probably the meanest card of all of them, because this one lets you basically destroy someone's card, or I guess even your own, to the bottom, because sometimes you need to get things together. So just because it's mean potentially to other players, you could actually use it on yourself, so that's also nice. The shot in the dark, which is aka the bird, so you draw that one, you can optionally try to call your shot. So I can be like, oh, the next card is a crab. And if I happen to be a crab, I can keep it. If not, it stays on top, which could be bad because you just gave information to everybody else. That's it. That's all 8 cards. They all have their own individual powers, and they kind of work off each other. The goal of the game is to try to get a full crown. If you win a round, you get half a crown. And if you win another round, you get another half. The goal is to try to get a full crown, and then that's the winner. So far, I only played this game with 2 players, and I did enjoy it. So this is going to be a shelf it for me. We'll see. After I play 3, 4, I think it goes up to just, is it up to 5? Yeah, up to 5. I want to play it at the higher player counts to see how it works. This might be a game that just shines at 2, 3, 4 players. I don't know. It could be a lower player count game. I'm fine with that too. But right now, it felt like a fun, breezy game playing with my buddy Chris. The one thing I was surprised about, which, some card games when you're just drawing cards, I feel like it just feels boring to me. Because if you're just set collecting, it's like, all right, I got the crab. All right, okay, now I got 3 crabs. I was afraid it was one of those games. It wasn't one of those. I like the idea of this line because it's like a little mini micro puzzle, because you can have situations where, okay, I'll get the crab, that lets me move this here. Okay, I'll get the gator, that lets me get rid of this card. Now I move those together. Or I'll swap with him. Now I can get the 4th one. Or if they put a card here and you know what it is and you immediately draw a bird, you're like, aha, I got the gator now because the gator's there. So it just has enough powers on the card. And that's what I'm realizing. I'm realizing that's probably what makes this game a better game for me, because instead of just drawing and set collecting, you are technically set collecting, but it's just having those little powers to give you options and a little bit of tactics within the gameplay that just makes it a much more satisfying game to play. Now, I'm not saying this is some juggernaut game. It's a 10 to 15 minute game that plays pretty quick. I mean, it looks at 2 players. I don't know how long it plays at 4, but to get to that winning condition, there's a lot of ways to get there. So I feel like the rounds go fast, and then as soon as someone gets a full round, the game ends, and you can just play again if you want, because it just plays pretty breezy. Next up is Hot Lead. Now, this is a game I probably wouldn't pick up on the shelf, most likely, but then I saw it was made by Reiner Knizia, which I've definitely reviewed a lot of his games on the channel so far, and a general fan of most of his games. So let's go ahead and look at Hot Lead and see if it is worthy of the collection. So Hot Lead comes with the base game, and also comes with 2 different variants you could add into the game. I played it all different ways, all different player counts. So the gist of the game, we'll just set up like a 3-player game here. And what interests me in this game was I saw it was like an auction-y game, which I've been into these auction-y kind of market control games. And so when I saw this a Reiner Knizia game, another auction game, I was like, I gotta try Hot Lead. We gotta see how it's this. So let's just break it down right now and kind of show you just the gist of how the game plays. So in a round, you'll deal as many cards as you have players, and they'll go from highest to lowest. Not in value, so you'll deal them out. In this case, this is 1, 5, 5. It very well could have been 5, 1, 5. It's because how you earn the cards is from highest card bid to lowest card bid. That's how you decide the order of what you get. So it's not like if I go to bid and I'm the highest card, I don't get to choose my card. I just get the highest card, in this case, the top card. So I'll just give you an example. So if we all bid, and I bid a 46, and he bid a 50, and then they would just say they bid a 28, whatever. Doesn't matter. If I thought I had the highest card, I thought maybe I really want to get like this one, this orange 5. Well, what ends up happening is the highest card goes here, the next highest here, the next highest here. If you have more players, so on and so forth. And you get the card in like your bid position. So in this case, I would get the 5, they would get the 1, they would get the other orange 5. Why are you going for what you're going for? There's kind of a few goals you're trying to get to. The face value are points, so I would get 5 points if I could keep this, right? If I can get 3 purples, I would get a bonus 10 points. And I think there's 5 different colors. So if I could get 1 of each color on my board at the end of the game, then I will get another 10-point bonus. So there's a way to get bonus points. It might sound easy, but where it gets challenging is if I get like 2 purples and just say, I'm down to 3, cool, I have 3. But if I get 1 more, I lose all my cards. And that's where it kind of sold me on the game. Because I was like, oh, that's interesting. Because now, there might be a situation where this is in the middle. I already have 3 purples, and I'm like, oh man, I really want to try to avoid being in the middle. So in this case, this is for maybe I'm like, okay. Maybe I'll try to go for my lowest card in this case, right? Which is a 2. But let's say I didn't have the 2. Let's say I didn't have the 2. Sometimes, depending on how you bid, maybe my lowest card is a 16. And then this person does an 8. And this person wants a 0 for some reason, you know what I mean? Because then they get the 36. And all of a sudden, it ends up being like this. And then I get the purple. I'm out, man. I just lost all my purple. So all those points would go away. So each person has 11 cards, but they only play 10 of those cards during a game. After all 10 cards are played, you add up the scoring I told you about. Did you get all 5 colors? You get a bonus. Did you get at least 3 cards in a color? Then you get bonuses for that. And then also you get the bonus for the face value. So a 5 is worth a lot more points, than a 0, of course. Now before I tell you about some of the add-on variants, let me just give you my feeling of the game thus far. So I think at this point, this game is a pass it on for me. I do think the variants add a lot more to the game. I always find them required. I was hoping the base game would be enough and the variants would just give that little extra. In this case, I feel like the variants are a must. So to make it fun. Now, I am giving this game to my mother-in-law, so I'm cheating the system a little bit. It's not a game I want to keep. It's a game I feel like I'll leave their house. There's probably times where we'll just play it. She seemed to like it a lot. I just found it to be a little too random. At first it kind of felt trick-takery to me, where you have all these cards and you're trying to figure out, okay, you kind of have to play a couple high, a couple low. You're always trying to keep some options. So when there's situations that come up where you need to be the lowest card, you kind of make sure you got to keep the lowest card. But then you might need a low card again, and then I felt like I didn't have a lot of player agency or control over the auctions. I felt like sometimes it was just a crapshoot. It depends on what people are doing. It just felt too random for me. Now, what at least made the randomness fun was at least the variance. So let me just break down some of those real quick, because I do think they make the game a lot better. The first one's super easy. All these little like kind of stars. It's like the theme of this game. I mean, I don't care about the theme as much. Is like you're cops. These are all bad guys doing hacking and laundering, forgery, and you're the law trying to break them up, right? That's the theme, but whatever. So then in the stars, the first person, whoever gets 2 cards of any color, gets a star. Positive and minus to that, because obviously, maybe you wanted to just get 1 of each color, so you don't, because you remember, once you get more than 3, you're kind of like losing all your cards. So if you're racing to get 2 early to try to get the stars, you are risking busting, because now you just have more chances to get more blues before the game's over. But I felt like that gave it a cool element to the game. There was a little bit of more tension, trying to get there first, but not try to bust, so that was neat. The other thing that added a lot to this game for me were these like negative cards. They're like dead end cards. So like a -6 could show up in the mix. So you might have like a 4, a -6 and a 1. I felt like that made it really interesting, because now you're trying to avoid this card. It gave you something like, I feel like sometimes early on you're just like, oh, whatever, I get the 1, I get the 4, whatever, I'll take what I get, right? But when that -6 comes up, people perk up a little bit, and it made it a little bit more interesting. That's it, a quick summary of the variants. I do think playing with honestly all of them does not make the game more complex, because a lot of this stuff you can just play on the go, and then the only thing you really need to play in a front is the stars, which is super easy. Hey, whoever gets 2, I would just hand them out. Oh, you got 2, here, you got 2, here, you get that one. You got 2, and you almost just teaching it while you're playing it. And last up is Gingham. I first heard about this game because I went on the Bitewing Kickstarter for Gazebo. I can't refuse me a good Reiner Knizia game. And I saw this being advertised. I typically have been straying away from pure abstract, so this one had a theme to it. It was like ants attacking like a picnic blanket to get some treats. So I'm definitely finding myself liking abstracts that have somewhat of a, it could be even bolted on, but it's cute. It caught my attention. So let's go ahead and hop in and see if it's something worth adding to the shelves. The very high level goal of Gingham is to try to connect treats in nice long connected paths, right? That's how you score a lot more points. So if I was to connect, this cupcake to say this cupcake over here, and I was able to go all the way over here with it, I could score 1 point per ant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And then there's some other stuff that goes on where I take a treat and I can stack it. I can claim the stack. I won't go through all those details, but there's some other parts of the game, because there's a little bit of area control, because if I can get control of this stack, now I can claim it, but it can also be stolen from me. But just to give you the gist, you're ultimately just putting down ants, and other stuff happens around that. So if I was to go here, for instance, I only can go in these 2 boxes. I can go up to the stitch. There's a stitch going down the middle. So then just say I went there, and then my opponent can go, maybe my opponent went there, and they went there. And then I would go again, and then I went here, and I went there. And then maybe my opponent went here, and they went here, whatever. So just to get this situation for you. Because now what's going to happen on the next round, it starts from the star and goes this way. So even though we alternate it, now it's going to be me, them, right? Now, obviously, it could have been different. Maybe we could have switched, and then now it would alternate it. Or they could have went over here, and they went first. I love games like this because, there's so many times, especially in this game and games like it, where if you can go first, especially if you can go first and second, you're going to have a huge advantage. But they also can see that. So there's always this competition of okay, how can you make it so that maybe going first still is an advantage to you, plus you get the advantage of going first. And that's what I try to do in my game I play with my buddy Chris, is I was able to set it up where I was able to go first a lot, but that was also built into my strategy, because my placement was built around going near the corners, and I was able to still make very long connected ranges, score a lot of points. All right, so what are my thoughts? So I did really enjoy a lot of this game in terms of the thinking and stuff, but it's going to be a pass it on for me. For a different reason you might think. It's just this cloth board. I can't. Even just showing you guys, it's driving me mad right now. Because if I want to go stack these guys up, and put them on there, that happens. You just saw it? And it's all over the board. I put them here, they're going to fall. So there's times where you need to stack up chips. And what ends up happening, instead of putting them there where I want to put them, I end up putting them off to the side. And that just confuses things, because then it just feels like that. Now I got to put ant on top. This board drove me bonkers. So what probably could have been an enjoyable game in terms of if you're into these kind of abstract strategies, I was like, nah, I can't do it. So that alone is a pass it on for me. I don't know who this game would be for, honestly. I don't have a lot of friends into this kind of games, so I don't know. I'll have to figure out where to go with it. I need to start doing giveaways. If you guys are interested in giveaways, let me know, because I'm happy to just send you these games for free. If you guys pay postage and you live in the United States, I would happily just send you the games. But just let me know if that's something you guys are interested in, because like maybe we can work something out. Collect ended up being my standout surprise, because I didn't know much about the game. I think Board Gaming Ramblings mentioned on one of their like board game wrap-ups. I think they got rid of it, but ultimately they said it was a nice card game for various reasons. And I was like, you know what? Based on what they said, I was like, I gotta try it out, and I'm glad I did, because it's pretty good. I really want to see how my family likes it. That's usually the final test. Right now, I passed it my friend test, so I think at least my wife and maybe my daughter, when she's maybe another year older, is a game she definitely could probably play. So I think I'm definitely keeping it for myself. But I really want to know if my family is into it. The take that elements, I think they're pretty friendly, but man, they can get pretty intense with take that. So I'll let you guys know if I do test it with them in the near future, which probably maybe tomorrow I will. I'll know more, and then I'll let you guys know. So what are your ultimate opinions on these games? My opinion aside, do these games kind of caught your attention, or did I help you at all? Did you like see something today that you're like, oh man, I'm glad Ryan mentioned that, because I was on the fence about getting it, but now I'm like, heck no. Or even a game like Collect, where you're like, I don't know, Collect sounds like another blah 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 kind of card game. I don't need another one. Did it pique your interest where maybe you want to try it out? So I'd love to hear any thoughts, because it's fun to kind of see what you guys are kind of gaining from these videos, because I can always flex and flow to kind of make these games more useful, not the games, videos more useful to you guys. So yeah, let me know how you think. And until the next video, take care, see you soon, and I will, that's a long outro. Basically what I'm trying to say is, bye-bye.